All right, dude. Another pod.
Another pod. How's it going?
Good, man.
Welcome back to the C-Suite Unfiltered. I always forget to say this at the beginning. Like and subscribe.
Okay.
Yeah, just trying to get it out there a little bit more. How was your last week?
It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
It was somewhat exhausting. Why exactly was that? I probably just haven't been sleeping as much as I should be, but it was overall pretty good.
Yeah.
CoPilot was going pretty smooth. We finally got things back on track there. Got the test server back up. April was rocky because we lost quite a few users mid-April when we were having some struggles. But we got Zapier integrated now. This week the dispatch board is getting redesigned. The customer page is getting redesigned. So there's a bunch of cool stuff. And we're moving fast. We're really finding our groove. And so I'm really debating whether or not I keep getting more developers. And so we'll see. I would like to get one or two more. Whether or not we can afford it, we'll see. But I don't want to get too many because it slows us down. So there's a guy that's worked at Oracle for 7 years that I'd like to get.
Okay.
He'd be good. And it's amazing. Even George was like, dude, why do these people leave Oracle to come work for us? I'm like, they just want the flexibility and the permission to go do stuff instead of being red tape and you get this one part of a big project. With CoPilot, it's the benefit, the benefit of working as developers, hey, here's a feature, figure it out, do it. Here's what I'm thinking, go.
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of developers, that's the kind of freedom they want to see. And so that's why they potentially give up more on the money side for that flexibility.
And this is from an outsider's perspective looking in. I don't know the tech side as much, but in my mind, a developer is like a creator. They want to have a little bit of creative space to build, design, and test things and break things. Yeah. So you're giving them a little bit more freedom. Yeah. That's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, basically how... Yeah, one day I'll when I feel like I'm good at this, I'll make a video about it. But I'm probably a couple years away from be able to say I've done something cool. But my big thing is when we have a feature or a bug, we don't give them the parameters too much. We let them have a little more flexibility and creativity. And sometimes that means that in UAT, which is the testing phase, the testing server, we got to kick stuff back to the developer because that doesn't work. But what it also does is sometimes it leaves it open to where some of the times they show you something dude, that's brilliant. And that's happened a couple times. And so from those experiences I've learned, let the developers have the freedom. They'll enjoy working more. And they won't feel like they're in this box of pounding out code and very stringent guidelines. And it just means more testing. And that's why in mid-April we had a lot of problems is because we didn't have the testing server set up yet. But it's been really, really good. So time clocks are getting redone this coming week too. So we're moving so fast. If you look at last week's 7:47 update, which is our weekly Saturday at 7:47 a.m. update. If you look at just that update, we did more in that update in 1 week than most CRMs in a month or even potentially a quarter. And so I think that pace is still increasing. And I think in 2 months, we're going to be at the point where we are producing features so efficiently and fast just because the team's getting more cohesive. We're getting better systems in place. And so I'm looking forward to it. Kind of like what we did with Command Center this past year in terms of just getting better at departments and standardizing things and systems. We're just working on all that stuff inside CoPilot now.
Yeah. So any fun new developments from CoPilot?
The Zapier integration is huge. So today we started making workflows for people to use. Cool. One of them is in your Facebook Messenger, you can get the information. It creates the lead inside of CoPilot. Nice. If it's a new lead, if they don't exist, it'll create. If they do exist, it'll basically say hey, we'll get back to you kind of thing. There's another one you can use Calendly, integrate that with CoPilot, so that way from your home page, you could literally schedule an estimate and it'll only schedule if there's availability in your calendar. And the reason it knows that is because of the integration with Google Calendar. Yeah. So you integrate CoPilot with Google Calendar talks to Calendly, and then you can literally have people book their estimates with you in person based upon your schedule. So you can put parameters, how far, a lot of other cool stuff. So
I think people will overlook the value of that, having been an estimator for a company that did a $1.5 million in annual revenue. The amount of time I waste on the phone with clients, meeting them, talking to them, going back to a job site, planning the job, getting the job done, versus now they can literally go online, book an appointment. You meet them once, the crew goes out, gets the job done. You've just cut out a massive amount of waste with that integration. That's sweet.
And I think too, with even big design build projects, it's not a bad idea for that Calendly integration to actually be a project consultation. So if you're doing $50,000, $100,000 projects, you don't want to go out and visit the customer and spend 2 hours learning about what they want to do.
Yeah.
Have a 15-minute Zoom call.
Right.
Right? Like everyone's used to that. And so I actually think that's the biggest use case of it.
That's cool.
For mostly like smaller projects and recurring maintenance, you either want to do it over the phone or you want to do a drive-by, right? Whereas with big projects, the time of an estimator going out there that has excavation experience, grading, construction experience is probably $150 to $200 an hour.
Yeah, totally.
And you're going to spend an hour just getting their concepts and walking their property and them doing some sketches.
And hear their life story.
Hey, it's like, hey, look, we do a free 15-minute Zoom consultation, and then we charge a $500 design fee, right? Or whatever your company does. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Totally.
And so I actually think that's going to be really cool. But those are just two. There's literally, it is nuts what you can do. So like we're having it where if you had a big company, $30, $40 million, and you have departments, sales department, customer service department, mechanic department. Now, when things come in, it can Slack them based upon their Slack channel and notify certain people based upon certain triggers. So, for example, if it's a new lead and it came through that Facebook Messenger, now that Slack channel for sales gets notified, right? There's just so many cool things you can do. So,
sweet.
The world is kind of your oyster with Zapier, and there's a couple LMN integrates with them and Synced Up.
Okay.
But they don't give very good guidelines and actual workflows on how to use it. They just say, hey, yeah, we're integrated with Zapier. Great. Okay. Well, they leave it up to the user to figure out Zapier, and that's a whole nother software. So what we're going to hopefully do is give the recipes for like at least 20 or 30 of these different type of integrations. And I think it's just going to be nuts. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. That's combined with the sequence automations, which is also coming out this week.
Nice.
Dude, I'm just pretty excited. I genuinely believe sequence automations will be up there with like the best of the best when it comes to automations, and we'll just keep building on it. So
that's really cool. Is Zapier, do they have a parent company?
I don't know. I don't know.
Just interested. Because I feel like almost like I never heard of them years ago, and now they're everywhere. Like they're pretty new. They're not a startup by any means, obviously.
You probably only heard about them because we've been going into software more.
Right.
Because every software developer knows about Zapier, and it has for probably 5 years.
Yeah.
It was like, it's always been like that bridge between all the softwares. And it's a genius idea, but it's been around for a long time. Because I remember even 6-7 years ago when I flew out and met with Patrick, they were already using Zapier to do a lot of stuff. And now that I'm like in the Zapier game, the media team has Zapier.
Nice.
So we're using it for a bunch of stuff. We're integrating with our Notion account to like notify people of certain projects and where things are at. In notifying myself, so I still send videos to every single customer that buys something. So like that, I can make that way more efficient though. Instead of having to go into Shopify, like now the email, I can tap on their email and immediately be recording. Like there's some cool stuff we can do.
That's really cool. I like that. Changing gears a little bit on your other channel, the Mike Andes Show. You recently talked about speed of execution.
Oh wait, let me quiz you.
Yeah.
The thing that I was talking about in the video. Do you know what I was talking about?
No, I don't. That's why I wanted to go after this.
You don't.
But if it has to.
Oh wait, because you never heard the other side of the story.
I never did.
Okay. Well, if I say it, you'll probably might fill in the gap of why I changed my mind. Because into your mind, it's gonna seem like I changed my mind.
Okay.
Because I was going one direction like 100%. Then someone else kind of was slowing it down. So I just caved in.
Should we give context if people have not seen that video?
Okay. You go ahead.
If people have not seen the video on the Mike Andes Show channel, you basically were talking about speed of execution and how a lot of successful businesses, if it's not an irreversible decision, they make as many decisions as they can to move as quickly as they can to progress the company as quickly as they can. And you said you wanted to make a decision that heavily affected a certain department, and someone within that department, a leader in that department, gave a lot of pushback. So and then you decided, no, we aren't executing this decision. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see how I can say this without getting too. The phone.
Yep.
Bellingham
support.
Shop.
Oh. Okay.
So we were gonna do RC.
Okay.
And then remember I switched it? Just like and said, hey, this is gonna happen, and just told them to set it up.
Yeah.
The Ring Central would have been the faster way to do it because they're already familiar with that interface, right? But that department was giving me pushback. So I said, like, it's not worth struggling over this.
Why were they giving pushback?
They were trying to say it was outside the systems. I was trying to say it is kind of out of the systems, but I just need this for 1 year, and it's the fastest thing because it would save the general manager's time from having to learn a new software. And so I was like, look, like this is a temporary thing. Like just push this through for me, please.
Yeah.
There's not gonna be any change of workflow. It really isn't outside the systems. It's just a matter of I'm paying it for it either at Command Center or I'm paying for it at the Bellingham job. It's coming out of my pocket.
Right.
So they were like, it's still kind of like mixing the two. So I was like, okay, I definitely see that point. But it was a matter of like, I was trying to save the general manager's time from having to think about another software program.
Right.
Anyways.
I'm confused as to why it would have affected.
We'll talk about it after.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess we don't have to get into it. I guess I don't see the other side of the argument.
Yeah.
I also don't even see why there was a disagreement. But that's like, I just like, it's not about the person. I don't even know honestly who the person is.
Yeah.
It's more just, I don't even understand what the counter argument is to you just saying, hey, just push this through. I know it's temporary.
There was valid arguments. It's actually, even from a business perspective, it was better. Like we're saving more money now doing what we're doing.
Okay.
And so there's valid business sense to it. And I had already kind of thought that one through though. It was like, the time, I extrapolated the time out. I was like $240 I was going to save over the course of a year. I was like, yes, that is the better business decision. It's worth me right now trying to save Dylan and April, who are like, under massive amounts of pressure from spring rush and working weekends, to just save them a few hours.
Totally.
And so that was my thought process.
Yeah,
But when I realized that I was going to have to take an hour or 2 hours of combined time of manager's time to push that thing through, it was like, no.
Yeah.
We'll just roll with whatever.
Fair enough.
So.
All right. Cool. Well, interesting. Speed of execution. I don't know. I think that's one of the things that I've always loved at Augusta, but some people don't like that. And you, as the CEO, now have to like adapt kind of how you do things. In a way.
Well, the objective doesn't change. The fact is that if speed is really what my North Star is, I won't allow that to actually because speed is what I'm focused on. That's why I would just relent and let that happen. Because the savings of time for Jill and April was less than the time of my time and other managers' time to push the objective thing through. So that's when small things like that, unfortunately, eat a lot of small businesses for lunch and eats everyone's time up. It's like, what kind of phone am I going to use? What kind of tires am I going to have? What kind of brakes and fuel? And when it doesn't matter, it's it is the matter. Flip a coin.
Yeah.
And so in that scenario, it's I'll decide what the coin is going to be simply due to the fact that I don't want any sort of friction. They just keep moving.
Yeah.
So.
Sometimes I use that tactic a little bit on a sales call or an introductory call at Augusta when people are really trying to push a little bit against it can't be as good as you say it is, joining Augusta. And then they ask me very tactile questions. And I'm like, we've done this over 100 times. Just flip a coin. And they're and it's almost like selling them on the confidence that those questions don't even matter right now. You need to focus on X, Y, and Z. Join Augusta. Then we can worry about all the stuff you have questions on later because it just doesn't matter, right? It's like speed.
Yeah.
So
the franchise is interesting, man. I've been thinking about recently, the objections that you get and stuff. Honestly, it comes down to one question. It's if you want to build one location really big, over the next 10, 15 years, you do not need Augusta. You just don't.
Yeah.
I think you join Augusta for two things. One is cutting out a lot of the initial bumps. And then secondarily is to be able to duplicate it and not have to be in the place of managing managers. Because the systems are set to where if a GM goes out, typically what happens when someone gets a general manager, they are out of the business until that GM goes out.
Right.
And then the next thing you know, they're back in the business for 1 to 2 years, finding, training, and getting the next GM up to speed. So you're not really out of the business. You're crossing your fingers and hoping someone stays.
And sometimes fixing all the things that the previous GM did wrong.
Right.
Right.
And so, because they're not accountable. They're not accountable to anyone.
Yeah.
And so I think that I'm in my mind, I'm just really, because people always online saying it's a scam and all the rest of it, right? So I just really have come to peace with the fact it's not for everyone. And what I'm doing in North Carolina, I just know isn't possible without the franchise model. Yeah. I have coaches in place. I have training for my GMs in place. I have people on the back end. I'm literally right now getting my South Park getting started. So Command Center set up my QuickBooks account. Yeah. They set up my payroll account. My website's up and running. I have a phone number. I have spent less than 10 minutes on all of that, maybe 20. And so that's where the power of it is the initial start. I would say like that first year or two, and then it is post first location. And I think that's the part that even now are starting to hit up against people that have been in the system for 3 or 4 years, or they have a business that is already doing 700, 800, that $1 million plus. And it's like, well, that gap, there's a gap there where you don't need the franchise much. There really is. And that's why a lot of people would question people as to why they should join Augusta if they already have 600,000-700,000 in revenue, because they're in the gap. That gap between like from 0 to 500,000, I think we offer a lot of help to speed someone through those issues and those problems and scale them up. From 500,000 to like 2 million, and anyone that's doing one location, there's a gap where you don't need us very much. Right? Because you probably have your own office by that point if you've already grown to that size. And so the question is, why do you need Augusta? It's only if you're going to duplicate and step out of the business 100% and focus on growing the people exclusively. And you don't show up to the office. You have GMs that if they fall out, you send another one to training and they come back and they're ready to pop into the system. Yeah. And so, I've been thinking about that a lot.
Yeah. I think that gap too is also like, typically, just from a statistical standpoint, if you're at that, 600, 700, 800,000 in annual revenue, you've probably been in business more than 5 years. So statistically speaking, you're a very successful small business owner. Yep. Like if you can make it past 5 years as a small business owner. So I had a guy a week or two ago, it's interesting to bring this up. The whole introductory call of me explaining what Augusta was him like telling me why his business didn't need Augusta. And I'm like, well, you booked the call. Like, I was like, that's great. Like, I just poured the sugar on. I was like, that's great. Oh, you're like, your profit's that's fantastic. You've been doing this how many years? That's great. You only work 40 hours a week and you have a life outside of your business. That's great. Like, I just poured on the sugar because it's like, you're clearly successful. And as of this second, you don't really need us. But do you want to scale up? Do you want a general manager? Do you want this thing to run on systems? Do you want a retirement plan? And then you might want to look into a franchise, right? It's just interesting. That gap theory does make a lot of sense, though.
Like, I look at Anytime Fitness, we've doubled the revenue now since I took over. And it's good because there's really good people in place. But I've had to change the manager there 4 times. Yeah. And I still to this day spend 10 to 15 minutes at a meeting once a week there. And I don't have to be there for that, by the way. Like I do it because just to like connect with them, and they're literally 3 doors over, right? So it's not that. And so, but I've just seen the power of a franchise. Like if someone drops out, I'm like, okay, great. Here, watch these videos for the next 2 weeks. Or I ship them off to, wherever it is, Minneapolis, and they there for a week and they get trained. And so that business now is 20 to 25% profitable after profit sharing. I hardly do anything. And if I want to just copy and paste it, I could, or I just leave it and I go do other stuff, i.e. Augusta. Right. And so that's when it's like, why would I ever sell that? Because it produces probably $200,000 in distributions to myself, and I don't hardly spend any time. And that's what I want to build for Augusta. Like there's nothing like that in the landscaping industry. You just don't talk to owners that have multiple locations, multiple general managers, regional managers, and they can go away from their business and it would work just fine. That has real enterprise value, right? What doesn't have enterprise value is you with a really solid, awesome GM, because guess what happens? If you try to sell that business or if you look at the valuation of your company, it all hinges on one person staying. Because if they leave, the next question from any investor is going, or potential buyer is going to be, what next? Like who's the person that's going to fill their gap? Yep. And so there's too many businesses, even businesses that are doing $1, $2, $3 million in revenue, that still hinge on great people. And although great people makes things easier, they are not as dependable as systems, because systems are interchangeable. People, if they get hit by a bus tomorrow, if they have a life-changing event, they get married and want to move to the other side of the country, you're toast. You're done. And so then it comes right back to, well, what is the system? Well, if everything was hinging on someone working 65, 70 hours a week and knowing everything in the business, your business value is down to 0. Yep. It is worth cash and asset value. That's it. And so, that's what I've been thinking about a lot. Just like the reason I've been thinking about it is because like I'm going to go to June. I'm going to be doing this for the franchisees to show them from 0 to 30 days exactly how we scale it up, and like massive loads of action. And the only work I do in the field will be for the camera, because like it's not how you grow a business fast. Right. And so, I'll be doing that, and I just know that we're going to sell there's going to be a ton of interest, I should say. And like you've noticed over the past month, lots of interest does not mean lots of. We've been rejecting more franchisees than ever because the channel's grown and there's way more inbound leads, and now we need to start weeding them out. And so we haven't even sold very more than usual, if not less.
Yeah.
As we're getting more and more leads. So I've been thinking about, okay, in June, like how do I make sure that I don't bury us in leads that are all interested in joining Augusta, only for the people that are in the gap, the 500,000 to 1.5, 2 million, one location, them joining and realizing I don't need you, or then secondarily getting people at 0 and like super enthused and they just become a bunch of work and like super hard, and they're not good at system. They don't know how to manage. They don't have any idea how to sell, and it's a lot of stress on us. And so, yeah, I've just been thinking about like who's the ideal candidate, who works well for Augusta Nation outside of obviously intangibles of what you screen for on the sales call. Is like, would they be a good fit for Augusta Nation?
Are you going to do a coaching call with me?
For what?
In June? that would be like that would be like just for the YouTube.
It'd be
I
good
feel
just
like.
for the YouTube.
Because like you taught me how to do coaching calls.
That'd be fun.
Like you built this
as
whole
long
thing.
as we could keep a straight face the whole time, I think we could do it.
I think for the YouTube it'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Like even if it's just 5 minutes.
Yeah, at least go through the coach. I don't really want the
basics.
coaching card to be shown.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But we could talk about it.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Like it's not like it's like super like secret, top secret. It's just a matter of like it is IP.
I will say this one thing that I do if it's a good sales call, if it's a good introductory call, if I have a good coaching call card that's waiting to go out, I'll be like, yeah, so this is how they're like, well, what kind of support is the coaching call? What's that look like? Are they with Mike? And I'm like, no, sadly they're with me. Sorry, you have to talk to me. And then I'm like, but this is a coaching call card, and usually the reaction is like, oh. Yeah, like that's a lot of info.
2 things, yeah, and I know how you do it too. You don't show it too closely.
No.
Yeah, and we're making some big changes even this coming week probably to this coaching card because it can be improved, I think, and just allowing more subjective disciplining, grading. We're thinking about rolling out grading.
Prodding.
Yeah. So it's good though. I think some people learn better by a coach pushing them, and then other people learn better by a coach like encouraging and, being their cheerleader. And or potentially screaming in their face, but in a positive manner. And then other people are like, I want tactical, like tell me what I need to do different. So if you give me an A-, the first thing I'm thinking is like, well, why is it not an A? Well, then now you have to back it up. Yeah. And so I think that would be a really good challenge for you as coaches, as well as good for the franchisees to get like subjective things on things like leadership,
time management,
stress, stuff like that.
Yeah, I love it.
Scheduling, routing. Yeah. Like it's tough in a coaching call now, or a scorecard, I should say, from a numbers perspective to say like, you stink at scheduling, bro. Yeah. Right. That can be said in like the call in the notes from a coach.
Yeah. I like that. It'll be interesting. I'm excited for the changes.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what the Franchise Advisor Council says because I put up a vote right before this.
They're blowing it up right now. I want to switch it up.
Okay.
So your peer.
My peer.
Your YouTube peer.
Meet Kevin?
Meet Kevin.
I wouldn't call him my peer.
No. He's your peer.
No, he's far above me.
Oh, you're both on YouTube. He's my peer. Joe Rogan's my peer. We're both white guys with podcasts, baby.
I was talking to one of the franchisees, Ryan Payne, and he said that he listens to most videos and podcasts in the background, like the mastermind and stuff. But there's a couple podcasts that he watches. Joe Rogan and the C-Suite Unfiltered.
There we go. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you.
Oh man,
I wear that as a badge of honor.
I'm glad I remember that you brought up the Joe Rogan.
That's great. Yeah, I know. I'm not an idiot. I know everyone's here for Mike, but I'm bringing sides of Mike out that you guys don't get to see. So,
well, everyone comes for Joe Rogan too, but then it happens to have some flavor with it.
I'm doing my job. Who's the guy? Iced Coffee Hour. The host. Like that's
Graham?
kind of no.
Zach.
No. The guy that sits next to him. It's not Jack.
Jack.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Cool guy.
Yeah.
That's kind of the vibe I'm going for. It's
okay,
like, you're the Graham, I'm Jack. Like, I work for you, but I'm trying to bring a different side of you. Because Jack runs the Iced Coffee Hour. Like, that's
he makes
his
50% of the revenue, which is our
It's
split.
our agreement. I love it. But he was on, have you seen Caleb Hammer on YouTube? He's a personal finance guy.
Oh, I saw him
Hilarious.
went on his
So
channel
Jack
and like
went
broke
on.
down his budget and stuff. I didn't watch it, but I saw the headline.
Yeah, if you're in your 20s, go watch that episode.
Cool.
Caleb Hammer interviews Jack from the Iced Coffee Hour.
Because Caleb Hammer's like personal finance, really like on the personal finance, so not business guy.
Yeah, it's all personal finance, and he's just like no holds barred, like very unfiltered. Like, dude, you're spending too much at Starbucks. Like, this is dumb. He's like, you're spending too much at In-N-Out. In-N-Out's trash anyways. Like, it's funny, but it's also very helpful personal finance. So I was like, well, Jack's young. He's successful. He's making 6 figures. Like, I could probably learn something from this. And Jack's doing well, man. So anyways.
Yeah, he's doing good.
Nice.
He admitted the other day to having like $400,000 or $500,000 on one of the podcasts. If you run the math of what he said, it was 600,000 because they were talking to somebody, I forget who, and they've said he could afford a $2.4 million investment in real estate using that as down payment. So he is like 600 grand cash. So good for him.
Yeah, he's got a lot.
I'd say 2 or 3 years ago, he was probably making 40 grand, 50 grand.
Yeah. So he first started for Graham, and he actually on the podcast.
Oh, he shows all this stuff?
Yeah, on the podcast he did with Caleb Hammer, he did. He had a selfie video of him when he first broke $100,000 in a year, like in pay, and he was like super motivated. And I was like, that's really cool. Like I resonate with that, like hitting like those milestones and now seeing.
Do you
where
remember when you got that?
I mean, it was last year. So if we want to go totally unfiltered, last year would have been the first year I broke 6 figures.
Good for you.
It was awesome.
Did you track it, or is like just end of the year W-2? You're like, yeah, I hit it.
No, I 100% tracked it.
That's cool.
Yeah. No, it was
for you,
awesome.
man.
Well, no, it wouldn't have been last year. It would have been 2021.
I was thinking. I was like, I thought for 2021.
Actually, now, you know what? Let's go full unfiltered. Actually, I got paid less last year than 2 years
Really?
ago. Yeah. But the reason is because profit sharing from when I ran Bellingham Shop hit. So profit sharing hit, and then it crossed over with commissions. So 2021 was huge, and then 2022 technically I went down, but I'll take a pay decrease.
That stinks.
I don't care.
This year we can make up with sales.
Yeah, dude, it does not bother me at all. But yeah, I would say breaking. I think just as like an employee starting at an entry level job, you hired me at 14 an hour.
Was it really? 14?
And then being able to break 6 figures is like it's a pretty cool accomplishment. It felt really cool. So I bought a house, you know.
That's a good trajectory. What, that 14 an hour, to hit that, you need to be hitting 50 an hour. So basically, you quadrupled your income in 5 years.
Well, that would have been 3.5 years.
That's good, dude. That's good trajectory.
That's great.
On that.
Well, yeah, it was this, and now.
Hey, we just gotta sell a couple hundred franchisees this year, dude. Come on now.
Yeah, no, it's cool, and I like to try to tell that story to people. Like, no, like I started at 14 an hour, and now base pay at Bellingham is 18 an hour with P for P, and I started at 14 an hour, and you were like, yeah, and if you like show up and work hard for 6 months, I'll bump it to 15. But you gave me all my bumps early. All right, anyways. Meet Kevin. That's where we're at.
Typically, though, I find income comes in jumps. So, like, I'm the same way. Like, for 2 or 3 years, I'll be about the same, and then something will switch, right? So I've been the same for probably 2-3 years. I expect CoPilot to be the thing that takes me up next in like a year or two.
Yeah.
Because like there's only so much you can make. Like even with the franchise, it's like, well, every dollar I'm gonna get over a certain level like is going back into something. But then eventually that engine that you keep pouring into just pops, right? And for you, it's like the skills that you're getting, right? So all the skills that you're kind of like just funneling back in like sales. And I know it gets redundant, but eventually that leads into probably like a sales manager, or when we get a gazillion leads. And what I've always talked about, like I believe we will hockey stick the growth at Augusta. Like you'll be ready for it, and then that's when you'll take the next step. Yeah, just hypothesizing.
Yeah, hypothesizing. Well, okay, now let's put Meet Kevin on the back burner because I did have a thought process recently.
Yeah, how did we go from Meet Kevin to this?
Because then I started talking about Jack from the Iced Coffee Hour, and then I got into personal finance and his trajectory, my trajectory, parallels. I'm a couple years behind you, Jack. I was looking up like Harvard Business School online. Do you think there would be any value in me taking some of their more corporately geared courses as we become more of like, I hate saying corporate America, but you know what I mean? Like
for self-enrichment and like personal development, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, like from like is this going to be super useful? Like I think that you in per unit hour of time would get more out of podcasts and books.
That's fair.
Because like it's like, do I learn from someone that has been a career I almost said politician, but career academic.
Yeah.
And even at Harvard, they have usually the best. But even them, they maybe did business for 10 or 15 years and have been educating for the past 20 or 30. And they're tenured, professors. And the question is, do you learn from them or do you learn from literally the best minds in the world that are writing books today and podcasting today? I have a hard time thinking that per unit hour is worth more to go to Harvard.
Yeah, I think that's where we differ, though, because I feel like I am good with traditional educational systems, like very structured learning. A to B, stackable skills, right? That sort of learning, A, B, C.
It's true.
And then you go to D.
That's
101, 202. And I think I consume a ton of content and I consume a lot of books, like a lot of Audible books, a lot of leadership books, a lot of business books. But I think for me, I almost want to work on my corporate stackable skills. Like they have a 12-week course. The one I was looking at was like more on corporate business analytics.
Right.
And I was like, that's the stuff where I feel like I could get some stackable skills as we grow Augusta to understand large scale business analytics, not just someone's profit and loss statement of a $500,000 company. That's easy to read.
Yeah. For you, you'd learn well better that way.
Yeah.
Like for me, when I was in doing my MBA stuff, like for me, it was like, yes, I would look at the board, like, okay. And then the first thing I'd do is like, I'd be pulling out P&Ls.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, okay, like how does that tribute this? Cause like, I'm not going to be IBM. I'm not going to be Apple. I'm not going to be Chevron. So like, I don't need to know this stuff, but what I do need to know is how does it apply to like my franchisees, like now today, franchisees and my business and like, 50 million and below. And most of what's taught in those companies is you're talking about billions, when the vast majority of what we need to know is under 50 million. And anything above 50 million, you would literally be outsourcing and buying people that have done this their whole life and they're okay at doing billions. Like if we become $1 billion company, there's higher value tasks than learning business analytics.
That's fair.
Because like your pay grade at whatever you'd be doing is higher than I can go hire the best of the best business analytics person.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the part where I'm always like, for example, I was going to go back and jump into code. When I knew CoPilot was coming along, I was like, okay, dude, like I could, if I just sleep a couple hours less a night, I could do like just get back into code and learn PHP. That's the language and then MySQL is our database. So I was going to jump into it and I was like, man, I could totally do this, or I could do a boot camp. So I was thinking like a 6-week boot camp. I just like drown myself in code for 6 weeks and then come out stronger. And I definitely think there would be value to CoPilot if I did that. However, the question is, how much does it cost me to hire someone that has done that for 20 years and is extremely proficient in it? Probably less than $100,000 a year, probably $80,000 a year. And so that's when it's like, that is a bad business decision, as much as I think it would be good in the short term. So
for me in my role, would you say it's better for me to invest in sales, leadership, management skills?
Those are a few things I was about to say.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
I'm not to say it's bad, and there's definitely enrichment and like a core component that would add to your repertoire of skills that would absolutely be valuable. It's just, and I'm not, so I'm not saying you should not do those things, but I just think in terms of like the skills that I'm learning, are they something that I can purchase for a lower pay grade than I'm at, or what I attain to have when I graduate from it? Right?
Yeah. I don't know if I've said this on the pod before, but like I like to, normalize things that we know we're good at, right? There's nothing wrong with saying things you're good at. But I noticed a massive jump in some of my leadership skills just from a voice message I sent a franchisee who's dealing with a very difficult situation. Anytime, this is for the franchisees listening, anytime I send you a voice message with direct advice for your business, I re-listen to it multiple times because I want to make sure I'm giving you the best advice I can. And usually if you get one voice note from me and then follow-up text, it means I don't love what I said the first time. And so that's me like honing that skill. And I sent one, it was 5 minutes long. While I was driving home. I was like, that was a really long message. I listened to it 2 or 3 times and I was like, that shows a lot of growth that I've had in that leadership category of making hard decisions with employees. It was employee related. And I'm like, I've had a lot of experience with employees. Now I manage managers, and it's honing that management leadership skills that you can't learn that in a classroom, but it's hard.
Yeah.
Managing people is so hard.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Yeah.
So, meet Kevin.
Yeah.
Let's jump back to this. Talking about people, talking about relationships. And
I was just going to say,
I feel like you had something to add.
I was just thinking like, I don't have a lot of pride in how we run the companies in terms of organizationally. I think there's always better companies that will be better than us at organization and systems and stuff like that. I think the part that I kind of fantasize about is being known for management being just like lethal killers when it comes to business.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if there's a problem, it's like they'll figure this out, and like there's not even a question. Like there's certain like special forces, for example, where it's like if you are in a bind, you just call these people, and like the problem, as big as it is, it just gets solved. And they just usually are so tactical, and so they've worked so well together that like they didn't just kind of crush anything, right? And so my thought is like, if we can develop that in something like Augusta and CoPilot, it's like whatever that team is, like I'd want to be known as like the company, like the people you pull in when everything is like falling apart and like you really need something and you need a solution, and the dollar amount doesn't matter. You get these people involved.
Cool.
And that's when you start having like mergers happening, right? So like, you know, our competition, when they see that happening behind them, they're like, okay, they're eating us for lunch. Do we A, try to fight them and we're going to lose? Like, let's us all agree on that matter. Or B, do we just basically relinquish what we have for some sort of nominal value? And that gets very interesting.
Yeah.
And so that's when you can start, like right now, everyone's like, you know, freaking out because like we have home service CPA and lawn care web design and lawn care media and the franchise, like all these parts right now, CoPilot and P4P software. Dude, just wait until like we buy out manufacturers and we have the entire thing from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Like when I can control the product, the supplies, every single part of the unit metrics from labor to back end support, command center, like, dude, I'm telling you, it's gonna be a lot of fun. And so I think by developing a team that is cohesive and like that people kind of fear from a competitive standpoint is when the people will literally give you their company. Because like if we fight, we'll drive this company to zero, or we can sell while we still have some value. And that's when if we go public, you take that cash and you start buying.
Yeah.
Baby, let's go.
Now see, that sounds fun.
So anyway,
that sounds way more fun.
Fantasizing.
No, that sounds.
Keyword is fantasizing.
I liked it. I'll go down that rabbit hole. That was much more exciting than Harvard business courses online, which I have looked into.
Meet Kevin.
We're getting into this because it is an interesting topic. So I do want to end the pod with this discussion here.
Okay.
So he got in some heat recently. This is a week ago. I took the screenshot the day of it happened. So he posted a video, and in the video,
Did you screenshot it? I screenshotted it too.
Yeah, it's right here on the screen. I'll put it up. I'll read the whole thing. But he basically posted a video, and within the video.
Oh wait, sorry. The reason I screenshotted it is because I thought he was going to take it down. Oh. You're saying you screenshot just now for the pod.
No, I screenshot it right away.
I did too. Okay.
I didn't think he was going to take it down, but as soon as I saw it, I was like,
I thought he was going to take it down.
We got to talk about this on the pod.
Okay, go ahead.
Because it was juicy. No, you're good. So in a video, he talked about how his mom lives paycheck to paycheck.
Okay.
And he got dragged in true YouTube fashion, right? Yeah. Just like Mr. Beast is getting dragged for saving people's eyesight and hearing.
Yeah. And amputees and all that.
It doesn't even. Anyways, so he gets dragged in the coals. So he makes a post on YouTube. I'll put it up, but I'll read parts of it. I don't want to read the whole thing, but I'll put it up on the screen so you can see it. He said, "Ugh, this is very frustrating. Some are mad my mom lives paycheck to paycheck. They say I'm greedy. You have a jet and your mom lives paycheck to paycheck. Face palm. I bought my mom a $700,000 house in SoCal and provided. I did the same for my dad. She chose a different life in the last 3 years." And then he lists all these things that he's done. And then he says, people's assumptions are so wrong. Sometimes there's more to family relationships and happiness than money. And despite my best efforts, I cannot solve problems between my mother and other family members. Money doesn't solve everything. So what was your initial reaction after seeing that?
I like the last line because I think it was his motive. Is like, hey, like money doesn't solve everything. There's still family issues and everything. I don't like the thought of giving excuse or feeling like you're accountable to your audience in that regard. And like if someone recoiled or something negative about me, I don't care. Now, when I say that, that came out wrong. It's not that I don't care. It's a matter of I want to get to the place where I care less because I know that's my truest self. And that's how a creator usually is the most successful is when they just be themselves because the only thing that makes them unique. If you start listening to everyone's advice, you'll basically become the mean. Right? If you listen to both sides that are pulling you in directions that are extreme, you'll eventually become normal, average, which means you are not going to do well. That's why most people take off, they hear criticism, and then because the criticism pulls them back towards average, they end up becoming no one cares about them anymore.
They become bland.
Yeah. And so this is what I did based upon this post. And not necessarily because of this post. I shouldn't say that. But the same day, I took down...
You bought your mom a house?
I took down every video that I've talked about Tigran.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You didn't know that, did you?
I did not know that. No.
Yeah, took down every video I talked about Tigran. Because
Okay.
he's gone really kind of every video mentioning me and like showing my picture and stuff, which is fine.
Mhm.
It's okay. I wasn't aware of it until the other day. Someone's like, hey, like he's mentioning you pretty much every video. So I went back to the most recent one. Sure enough, like twice, he like shows my face.
Really?
So I'm like, look, that's fine. But I truly believe that's small boy stuff. When you have to react to people's criticism, you are playing the small boys game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's the part where Meet Kevin, I felt like, who cares, man? Like you've been successful. You're doing great stuff. Like there's a lot of people that support you. Obviously, you have 1.8 million subscribers. You have a jet. You're doing a house hack. Like I mean, I don't necessarily agree with all of that stuff, but like you're killing it. Don't even give them the fuel that thought that you think about it. And I don't think about Tigran's thought about me at all. And I'm not going to let anyone even think that that's crossing my mind when I'm making content. Because people will comment sometimes, be like, what about Tigran? I'm like, dude, that didn't even cross my brain.
Yeah.
And so I just like, I want to distance myself from small boy garbage like that, where it's like based upon what other people think, I'm going to, or say, I'm going to react to it. Like reaction, like that to me shows a chink in the armor. That's weakness. Based upon other people's opinions, you have to make a post about it.
Yeah.
I don't think that shows strength.
What would you say though about responding to comments individually? What's the difference between making the public post versus, let's say he got 100 hate comments, probably more. Let's just assume. What's the difference between him responding to every single hate comment or posting publicly? Or is there a difference?
I would say there is a difference. When you're that size of an audience, there's a difference because you are alienating 99% of the people that support you to go after the 1% of people that are being loud, and they're the small majority or small minority that are creating all this noise. Like if that video got 50,000 views or 100,000 views and 1% of people, that's a few hundred comments. It will seem like a lot, but it is a small, tiny fragment of your audience, and you're going to take all the time of 99% of people and waste it on the 1% of people that don't care about you anyway. They're not buying your products. They're not investing in your stuff. Like, let them go do something else, right? Block them from your channel if it's really affecting you. I know it affects him in his brain too, because he turned off comments for a while, and he's admitted that like it really does get him down. So like, turn off comments if you need to, or delete and block users that are saying really negative stuff if you need to. If you need to, but don't respond. 99% of your audience doesn't think that way, and it's showing weakness in that like you're allowing it to get to you. Like, focus on just creating more good things that 99% of people enjoy, and let the other 1% do their thing. Yeah. They're not going to buy from you anyways.
Yeah. And I think it also shines light on something negative that maybe his less dedicated fans now see this negative thing brought to light.
Which I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, showing weakness. Showing weakness in that regard as a personal, like, that you have flaws and like, that's where like me saying like that shows weakness is kind of flawed, because I feel like being vulnerable and showing your weaknesses is important. But in this case, he's not showing vulnerability and weakness. There's a different way to write this post, and that is, money doesn't solve all your problems. My mom, I have tried X, Y, and Z, and still we can't communicate with her. There's fragmented relationships. Money doesn't solve all your problems. That's a different post.
I agree with that.
Very different than there were people that were commenting about me. Like, who cares? Like, maybe take the exact same logic of this post and reframe it that is much more constructive to your 99% of your audiences.
Yeah, but he has donated hundreds of thousands of money to charity.
Yeah, personally, I don't think that's a talking point.
I completely, that's where I guess I said maybe his less dedicated fans, myself. I subscribe to his channel.
You see that.
I subscribed to his channel. I probably would have never clicked on that video because it was a clickbaity
I didn't
title. I don't even know what the video was called, but it was very clickbaity. Yeah. And I will watch some of his financial updates and different things that he's up to. But I do not watch every video. But all of a sudden I see this and I'm like, this is not a great look.
Yeah, it's not a good look. No.
I was like, I don't know.
That's why I thought he was going to take it down. I thought someone else would talk to him and be like, I don't know, dude. Yeah. But again, like when I went on the trip with him,
yeah, because you've met him. You've hung out with him.
There's no one to challenge that thought process. I've seen him be self-reflective enough to take stuff down. That's why I screenshotted it. But in any, like, if I said like something like that, I would hope that like you or Liz and Chuck would like be like, hey, you sure you want to say that? You know who's actually really good at this? Is Brad.
Yeah.
Brad will call me out and stuff.
I like that.
Yeah, he's done it a few
He's
times.
got a good filter.
Yeah.
What do you think about the family side of it? Let's make it a little more personal here. Like, you're obviously a successful businessman. You have access to a lot of money. What do you feel about the whole, like, you should give people in your family a hand up. If you have that much money, like, why aren't you sharing it with the people that are in your life? Like, what's your gut reaction?
Yeah, like, I think if someone's become that successful, so many of your relationships are transactional.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of employees. Like, the majority of people that I interact with every single day, I pay them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not negative, and it's not to devalue the personal relationships I have with them, but it's a transactional relationship. It was based on that, right? And so, like, if I wasn't offering $14 an hour, we probably would have never met. Yeah. And it's not to devalue those. It's simply to realize that the one thing that family offers is it was not based upon a transaction. Someone made a choice to have you come into the world. And so when you turn that into transactional, I feel like that's a little strange. And that's why I wouldn't want my kids to have a bunch of money. And then in terms of my family, for me right now, it comes down to I protect the downside, but I don't give upside. That's kind of where my head's at now.
I like that.
It's like, hey, I will step in, and I have done this when people need money on my own accord and without them asking.
Right.
If they ask, zero, nothing's happening. But I'm not going to be like, hey, I'm going to get you a car and a house and all these other things. And even though I've got people those things, but it's not because of them needing excess. It's because, like, they were on downside. Like, they were going down. I can bring them up. But I'm not into, like, extravagant stuff. I'll probably one day do something for my parents. I will definitely probably do that. Just because, like again, like, I would be nothing without them, right?
Yeah, so, right.
And then also it's a matter of, like, I've always said, like, philanthropy and giving in general in terms of donations is actually more about what you as a giver get. That's the feeling, right? And so that's the part that we feel that about Meet Kevin is because he's flexing the thing that the joy and satisfaction he gets from giving instead of what he gave, right? And that's why if you would have reframed that from the perspective more of the love for his mother, but that money doesn't solve that, it becomes a very different post. It's because we don't the slimy thing about giving and philanthropy in general is that the reason that person gave is either A, because it makes you feel good, or B, there's tax incentives and nonprofit incentives and all the rest of it. And so that's why people question Mr. Beast and everything too, is because, like, there's that filter that we all run through. And so to see someone genuinely give something without any expectation of things in return, the purest form of that is giving birth to a child. And that's why I think we should respect parents. Yeah. It's because that they are guaranteed nothing in return. And so that's where I feel like making that a transactional relationship can be dangerous.
Yeah, I like that. I think protect the downside, and
I just don't give the upside. I don't know.
Don't give the upside. No, I really like that. I think I would have that same philosophy with my family. Obviously, we're in very different positions in terms of access to capital, but I would hold the same position if it were my family. It would just be like, hey, I'm going to protect you from the downside. Like, I don't want you on the street. Like, I got an empty, bedroom in my house. You can always live there if things go horrible, but I'm not going to buy you a really nice house either. If
I had kids, that's probably the same approach I'd probably take too. It's like, look, I'm never going to let you be destitute. Right. Like, even if you're a wreck, I'll make sure you can eat. Yeah. But, like, I'm not going to get you a Lamborghini to drive around while you're a wreck. Like, that's not happening. Yeah. Right. So,
right on. I love it. Let's wrap it up. Non-financial advice.
This is a pretty hypothetical,
I
deep.
like this. I feel like we could keep going. I feel like this is a topic we'll probably touch on more in the future. So let's cut it there. Okay. Let's go non-financial advice. What do you got for the people?
You say something because I have no idea.
That's great. I got a thought for the people.
Oh, I got one too. Go ahead.
Great. My thought for the people. Here's my non-financial advice.
Do we need to clarify what non-financial advice is? Yeah. Because someone in the comments, or you told me a franchisee had a question about it. Yeah. Was it in the comments?
Yes, it was in the comments.
Okay.
Here's my definition of what not financial advice is.
Yeah, okay.
Not financial advice is not financial advice, but it is advice.
Right. Or it is financial advice, but has the disclaimer of this is not financial advice. Yeah. There you go.
And sometimes it's financial advice, and sometimes it's just general life advice. That's the whole fun part of it.
All right, go for it.
See, now I lost mine.
Oh, dude. See, I got you, bro.
You go. You send it.
Okay, so mine is in the past I've been microdosing on caffeine.
Oh,
Your face.
What?
As I was about to say just caffeine, I was like, if I throw the word microdosing, it'll get his attention.
Yeah, I was like, wait.
No, I've never had caffeine, never had coffee. But the past like 2 months, I've been timing it and trying to figure out if it's something that can help. And so just like that lull in the afternoon. And so I've been more stringent about like, I only eat from 12 to 8 now all the time. And then I try to drink caffeine at like 10 o'clock. Now, the problem is, regardless if you're doing coffee or if you're doing what I've been doing, which is like the ice drinks, which is like no sugar, but there's other stuff in there. Artificial flavor, artificial sweetener, not good stuff. So I am going to do caffeine tablets, 50 milligrams a pop. On most days, I'll take one, and I'll take two if I know I didn't sleep enough last night, which not sleeping enough at this point is anything under 4 hours.
And
5 hours.
50 milligrams is like half a cup of coffee, a strong cup of coffee.
Right.
So you're basically saying you're going to have a small cup of coffee.
Yeah, pretty much. But without like, I think there's other things about like coffee in terms of the acidity. And then there's things about like the drinks that I'm having right now with aspartame and sucralose and stuff like that I want to get away from. So I'm just doing the straight good stuff.
Nice.
Slow release, baby.
I like it.
It's going to be good. I'm going to see how it works.
That's good. See, I drink coffee for the taste.
Really?
Plus the benefit of caffeine.
To me, it's just literally tastes like muddy water, bro.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Dude, it's
I really
sick.
like caffeine.
All right, sorry, go ahead. You're not financial advice.
I was going to try to give some financial advice, but now I'm not going to.
Oh, okay.
I mean, most people that listen to this are in our industry, right? So they're probably outside a lot. I was just going to say get outside more, but if you're in this industry, you're working outside, so maybe not. I've just been trying to get outside more. Okay. I cut my grass yesterday. It was Sunday.
Let's go.
Dude, my wife and I, we just like sat in the grass. It was great. Trying to get that Augusta lawn, you know. I got my own equipment. I don't pay to have people do it, so solidarity.
You have electric equipment?
Yeah, I got the all steel electric equipment.
Oh,
the
right.
homeowner
You
stuff.
told me that.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I don't see how you could use it for commercial.
Right.
But the homeowner stuff's great.
Cool.
Fantastic for a small lawn. So just get outside more. I've also been playing a lot more golf.
Oh, really?
Goals to break 90 this year.
Oh, good for you, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So get Sarah out in the range?
She comes with. Yeah. She wants to learn golf.
She drives the cart?
She drives the cart. She loves the cart. Oh, yeah. She brings a book.
Oh.
Cart. It's great.
She can probably finish a whole book while you finish 18 holes.
We usually play 9. 18's too long, man.
Too long. Man.
It's so long.
It's a lot.
I played 18. Well, I guess, yeah, I've probably gone out 5 or 6 times and only this year.
Whoa.
Just this year. Yeah, dude, I'm trying to get into it.
Dude,
I'm
that's
getting outside.
intense,
It's fun.
bro.
But only one of them's been 18.
Okay.
Like I go and play 9, and if I go like usually late in the day, so I can walk it and I can be done in like an hour 20.
Yeah.
Like I'm quick. I'm like, I just want to play. I just want to get out for a nice walk, get in the sun, call it.
Let's go.
Maybe I'll go after this. We'll see. Maybe I have time.
We're running out of time.
Yeah.
Pod's over, bro.
Pod's over. Got it.
See ya.